In this video, I want to show you how you can create an interactive component group. And for this use case, we're going to be using the regular terms and condition checkbox, which shows two states. The first state shows an inactive button, and then the next state shows an active button when interacted with. And yeah, this is how you can do this. So first things first, I'm going to create this interaction using the component level approach, where we would essentially create components for these individual items. And then we are going to get into the big picture. Okay. All right. So let's start by recreating this. So I'm going to create something a bit more basic, or we can actually do the same. So I'm going to just start by typing. I'm going to use 16 for my text, and I will zoom into this very shortly. But let's type in the text. I confirm. This looks quite big. Okay, so it's actually quite big. I'll change it to 390, and that should do. Let's zoom into that. Now that is better. All right, so I'm just going to type in I confirm that I have accurately represented my information, and that I agree. So to ensure that we are typing this correctly, what we can do is just right click on this and add a frame, and then we can duplicate it, select this one, press enter and delete that picture. And then with this frame selected, I'll just give it a white color for now. And if we come into here, we can now take this and send it into our frame. All right, with this, we're now ready to party. First, I'm going to put this in an auto layout. So I'm going to press Shift plus A, auto layout added. I'll give it a padding of 16 by 16. Okay. And I don't need to reposition it for now. I'm just going to give this a grid. So let's go to layout guide, and I'm going to use columns, and this would be 4 columns. And then for the margin, I'm going to use 20. Okay, 20 is fine. And then let's just move this to the ends. All right, I don't like this color in my grid, so I'll just change it to this. And then for now, we would have a stroke so that we can see that margin properly. And all I have to do is just select the content, which is the text, and go to change it to fill container for the layout. And this is 16. We can change that to 14 now. And this height, this is 16. This height is supposed to be around 40, because when you have one line, I'm just going to cut this. It's supposed to be 20 when you're using 14. So I like to give it like, I count in 4s, but there are times I just put 6. It feels more better with 6. So what I'm going to do is, with this selected, I'll come to the line height. I'll see it says 17. I can make that 20 and it will solve my problem, but I don't like to use pixels. I use percentage instead. Let me show you the disadvantage of using this. You're going to learn multiple things from this video, by the way. So one of the disadvantages of using 20 is when I try to scale this up, you're going to notice that the text just becomes clustered, you know. But now watch what happens when I change this to percentage. So I'm just going to type in 100% until I have this height at 20. It's going to be at 14 now. It's somewhere around 144. So we can just keep going. Now at 140, it gives me 20. At 144, it's still at 20. At 146, it's still at 20, which is good. So, but I'm going to leave it at 144 because it's a perfect set of numbers. And you can also leave it at 140. It's fine. Just play around with this. I've played around with it for a very long time, so I know where certain text styles, text sizes with the line heights that would probably work with them. Okay, so now with this, if we change this and we scale it, you're going to notice that nothing gets clustered. You know, it works dynamically, and this is the behavior of text on the web as well. If you notice, when you go to any website and you're trying to zoom the size using like the Google Chrome page view counter, you're trying to zoom it from 100 to maybe a higher number or a smaller number, you notice the text reduces or increases dynamically and it scales better. So this is how it's operating in Figma as well. So with that, I'll just paste the remaining text that I copied. Let's be sure that it's where it's supposed to be. All right, so we have agree that you know what, I confirm that I've accurately represented my information and I agree to terms of use. Let's use terms of use because I just want this text to be 2 lines. You can make yours 4 lines, 3 lines, it's fine. I kind of don't like users reading so much because when you see content like this, it feels more like you're hiding something in the content. So you don't want users to read so much. You know, some users have this notion. So what we're going to do next is to get out this checkbox. So I'm going to go to material symbol. It's like one of the best places to get your icons. All right, so material symbol, and then I'll just change this to rounded, and then I would type in checkbox. I would see my checkbox, but I need the checkbox to be fill color, so I'm going to select that. The checkbox is ready, but we need the other state, you know. So some things I like to do is either I gray this one, like I would make the color gray, or I would use this as the inactive state. So what that means is, and I'm not recommending this for you, all right, the good approach is to actually have these 2 as the variant, but sometimes I have these 2 as the variant, but this one would now be like let me see if I can find a good color. All right, and I'll just put a white background below it. All right, so it's going to be something like, not this because it feels like it's disabled. Let's find a color that would work. So I'm going to search icon. This is disabled. Yeah, so this can work. All right, and then for this one I just use like a blue, okay, for the active state. All right, and this one could be blue as well, just signifying that it's an interactive element. All right, so this is somehow how I like to create my stuff. You can use this as a disabled state, it's up to you, but what I'm going to do is I'll select all 3 of them, and this is the first component I'm going to create. So I'm going to select the component drop down and click on create component set. Now this component set is ready. These ones are ready. This is the first one, like I said, that we're going to create. I'll just add a color to this component, and I will call this checkbox. All right, if we zoom into that, these are all we have. I'm going to change their position, and then this is what I'm going to do. So this is going to be unselected. All right, this will change to state. This is going to be selected. I'm just changing the name from the property. And the last one is going to be disabled. Good. Now we have all 3 variants and we have this guy. What I'm going to do for this guy now is I'm going to give it a white background. All right. I have white color styles, but I just work really faster with this. And then I'll make the radius rounded. And then for the background, I'm going to pick the same background they have here. It should be in the F2s. Yeah, F2. Good. And with this, what I will do next is ensure that it's on horizontal. This is my component. The space, I'm going to make that 16. And I want the users to read the content before they click on the checkbox. Because once you put the checkbox here, you're basically just telling the users to click on the checkbox without reading any content, which you don't want to do, and I think this is the core reason why they did it this way as well. It also feels more balanced that way, but then I'm going to follow that same approach. So I'm going to select one, just click on one of it, copy it, Control C, or you can go to your asset panel and then drag it in. But yeah, I'll paste that in. This is what we have. This is 24 by 24, which is good. You can align to the top, right, to make it even better, or you can follow their pattern by aligning it to the center. All right, maybe you would just put it at the center for now. This breaks our text into 3 lines, and I don't like that. I confirm that my information is accurate and that I agree to terms and conditions. Okay, good. This does not make sense, all right? But yeah, this works. Okay, terms and conditions, and maybe I want to spread out this text a little bit, maybe 0.5. All right, just free it up a bit, and this is good. Okay, this is good. Now, the final thing is we need to create the button component as well. So I just grab one text from here, and I make this button really large. All right, bear with me. And then this would be continue. And then let's break that. We'll put in an auto layout as well, Shift plus A. All right, this is what we have. And let's give it a stroke first so that we can see what we're doing. And like I said, this button is going to be large. It's going to be as large as the button that Apple now uses, okay, to wake you up. Maybe somewhere around there. Don't use this button, by the way. You're going to take up a lot of those screen size. All right, and then we can extend this to hit the grids. The way I did that, that the both ends were extending at the same time, was just holding Alt. If you hold Alt, you can do that. You can extend it both ends. You can do that for the top as well. All right. Now we have that out of the way. Let's make this 24. Let's make it 16, just to keep the consistency with this one. And then this button is going to be blue, and then we'll remove this stroke, and then we'll change this to white. All right, and then we'll make that semi-bold. Maybe we can change this to 16. Yes, that is fine. With that and this selected, we can give them a space of either 24 or 32. 24 because we don't want the user to be clicking on this section when they are not completely done. Even though they've toggled this on, maybe they've toggled this on and they maybe wanted to toggle it off, their hand may touch here, because what I like to do is for a section like this, I like to make the entire container clickable. I don't want the user having to pinpoint on this. So wherever the user clicks on around this section or anywhere around this entire container will be clickable, as long as there's no other interaction within this same container or component. All right, that is there. Maybe we'll make it 32. Yeah, I think 32 is fine, but don't make it 16, don't make it 8. Now we have these two elements. They're now a group, but this is not what we want yet. All right, so I'm going to duplicate this out. Now this is where we'll work on the remaining 3 components that we need for this interaction. All right, so we have these. So we have these 2 elements. I'm going to click on this one and drag it down. Click on this one and drag it down as well. This one now will select this and would select selected. Now it's toggled on. This one, we're going to give it an inactive state. So I'm going to choose a gray color, something like this. Let me put a white container around it to see what it looks like. Yeah, it's good. Okay, and then I would select this, and this is going to be the button component. So I'll create the button component, and I'll call this button. and we have the state of the button. This is going to be inactive, or you can even give it state. This is going to be false, so that we can have like a toggle instead of clicking on the drop down, since we only have 2 buttons, false and true. Or you can use no and yes. No for the inactive, yes for the active. All right, so no, yes, false, true. Either of them, you can use them together. Like you can use false and yes, and then or no and true. So it has to be false, true, no, yes for your components. So these are the component states. We're going to do the same for this. I'm going to select it, come here and click on create component set. And this one I'm going to call disclaimer. All right, and this is going to be the states. This, we're going to use the other logic. We use true and false for the other one. We're going to use no and yes for this one. So you see that they operate the same. Now, if I take this out, I just need to drag one of these out. I'm holding Alt and Shift at the same time to drag it out. But you can copy and paste to have it out as well. So since we have this, you'll notice I have a toggle. I can toggle it on and off, and that works seamlessly. All right, and then I can grab this one. All right, and what I would do is toggle this on and off. You can see it has the same behavior. Now, what do we want to do? We want to select both of these, select both of them, put them in an auto layout. Just come here, click auto layout, or use the shortcut. And this is 32 in spacing. We're going to change that to 30. It was 31 in spacing. We'll change it to 32. All right. Now we're going to have a padding on the ends. All right. Let's go to our design and we'll see the padding here, because you know we need to have the home indicator as well. So what we're going to do is let's grab this home indicator first. It's usually has a space downwards of 8, and the upper one is up to you to add the space, but there's also like a documentation for that. All right, I'm going to just put 99. All right, and then we have this as black sheep. All right, and then we'll paste it. Where is it? We'll just paste it in here. Okay, and then we'll center align this. All right, and with this done, we're just going to change this to, you know what, we'll treat both of them as 2 separate components. So we'll select this and this, put them in auto layout. This is 32. All right, this one you can right click, put it in a frame and put an auto layout on it, or you can just give the padding. It's up to you actually. So I've done that. It's now in an auto layout frame. I'm just going to press fill container and then align that shape to the center. And then with that, the up and down will be 8px, which gives me what I really wanted. And then for this one, you can leave it at 0. It doesn't actually matter. Then for this one, we would select this and we're going to change it to 8. The top side will be 8 because we want content on that screen to flow beneath it. So this section is going to have like a color. We just pick the F2 color that we already have. All right, not this section, over here. Okay, and we'll change this to 0. This feels too close. All right, then we'll break this and let's make that 24. Let me use 32 for this. You know what, we'll use 24, and then this has a fixed width. I'll make that hog, and I'll make this 20 in the sides. Don't bother about this, it's responsive. So I'm going to change this to 390, which is the width of our frame. So the width of our frame is 390. So always make it the width of your frame. If your frame is 375, 375. It's 390, 390. If it's 4 something, 4 something. All right. For us, it's 390. So that's fine. All right. And now we need the second variant. So this would be the second variant. And by the way, I noticed that I made it a bit too complex. So some of you may get confused. It's the same is the same logic as doing it manually. So for instance, you can select all three of these, put them in auto layout, and then the up and down you just put 8, all right, which is fine. And then the spacing can be 32. You can just put these two in another auto layout, which is 32, and then 32 at the bottom. It still works the same way, all right. And then you can now pick the background color. All right, with that, let's just stick with this one I just did, so you don't do it and feel like you didn't get it. All right, it's the same stuff. Then you just need to add a padding on the left and right, because the buttons should not be touching the edge of the wall. So we're just going to make that 20, and then we can now change this to 390, and that's it. So with this, we'll just drag down another one for the active state. All right, for the active state now, we just need to select both one by one. Select this, toggle it on, select the button, toggle it on, and that's that. Next thing you need to do is select all of this, all right, and then we're going to put this in a component set, okay, and then this is going to be state. This is, let's use no and yes because it's shorter, and then this is going to be yes, and the component we're going to call it button group. All right, and yeah, so these are the 4 components we've just created. Let's put this side by side, all of them all related. You can see how we created multiple components to arrive at the same solution. I'm just going to hide the grid for now. Then all of this would be deleted. We don't need that anymore. Now, the only component we need is this. Now, if we're working on another project, we wanted the disclaimer, we'll take the disclaimer. If we wanted just this, we take just this. You know, you wanted just this, you can take just that. You know, so this is why it's good to walk through this flow the way I have, one by one, because all of these different components would be important for the different use, and I can always update this button height. All right, I can update it to 60, 45, 56, whichever way I want it. Now we'll just take this Alt to drag it out, and then just move it into our frame, and then center align and bottom aligned. All right, the color for this button feels too dimmed. So to make that update, I only need to make the update to this one. So I'll just come here, break it, and let's just increase the color a bit. I like to use the HSL color mode. So I'm just going to change this from 93, which feels a bit too light, to somewhere at 84. And you see how this one element updated this and updated this. Imagine that I did not use a component and I have this button in multiple screens. What would happen? I'll have to go through all those single screens to update it. I'll have to select it on all of them and update that component. That's why it's good to do things in a component level, because it will give you a lot of flexibility and speed, and it maintains the consistency of your design. So if your button is 60 here, 60 there, there's no extra customization you need to do every time you have a new screen. All right. And with that, I would just probably take this content. I'll take this content and put it in design. I want to just have the content. So, you know what? Let's duplicate this. We'll send this in first. All right, just to ensure that we have some context in our screen. And this is what we would have, just also so we have that speed to complete this. All right, and then I'll duplicate this and just have the other one. Yep, this will be the content that the user is reviewing, and let's close this out a bit, and we'll close this out a bit, so we have just that white card. And then I'll make that card 16px. It's going to be 28 to 32 pixels away. No, let's use 24 pixels away from the height. All right, that is it. All right, imagine that we had 2 of this, it would be below. Now to fix this, you notice that we now have this text here, but we have content below. When you know that a content section would not move regardless of the content on that screen, just go to prototype and change the position from scroll with parents to fixed. It will just become on top, or it will stay on top. If I move this one upward, you see it covers this other one. Do the same thing, scroll, change it to fixed, and that's that. Now if I do that again, it scrolls below it. Now I can select both of this, put them in auto layout. Their spacing is 40, which is outrageous. We can make the spacing 16. Oh, sorry, I selected the wrong content. So this and this, put it auto layout and make this 16. And I'm making it 16 because it's just text area. It's not an interactive section where the user interacts with. If not, you would want to make it around 24px or 32px away, usually 24. All right, with that out of the way, we don't need this anymore. You will notice that the content is showing outside of the screen. To fix this is very easy. Just select the frame and click on clip content, and that would hide that element. All right, and now we can select this, duplicate it, all right, and we can change this to the active state, which solves it, right? But because we don't have another screen where the interaction shows up from when the user clicks on this, we're just going to work with one screen. So we're going to call these terms and condition. You know about our body. All right, so we have this screen, and sorry the video has been long, but I hope you've been getting some points from this. All right, and what I would do now is come here. I'll add a flow starting point from it because I want to show it on this same screen that I'm on. I don't want it to take me to another screen. You can even change the flow starting point name and just call this maybe start. It will change the name here to start. Just click on this play icon to preview what you've done. And nothing would work now, but we're going to see what we've done. The design, it's going to show up here. All right, but there's no interaction to it. All right, we can also scroll this layer to make, we just need to make it vertical scroll and then just move this up a bit. Now if we scroll, it scrolls like that, but it would not scroll if you had this section. So if you had this section full, it will not scroll. As I mean, if it was like the way it was before, you see how it is, it's not going to scroll because the content is above the screen. And you're going to get a disclaimer letting you know that for scrolling to work on this frame, the content needs to be bigger than the frame. All right, so all you need to do is now move it in wherever you want to put it. It's fine, and once you try that, it's going to scroll dynamically. All right, with this done, we cannot interact with this yet, but what we're going to do now is make the interaction happen. All right, to make that happen, this is where we're going to play with. I'm going to select this frame. This is the container. I'm not going to select this icon. I'm going to select the container, the disclaimer container itself, and then drag that prototype link to this frame. And then it says on click and also says instant. Instant is good, but if we put it on smart animate and change this to ease in, if we click on it, you're going to see that subtle transition, all right, which is not bad. All right, let's replay this and do that again. You see, so it's good, but I feel like the delay is, let's do that again. Yes, this is good. Now, what we'll do here is we're going to select this container, this one. Maybe the user wants to uncheck it, they're not okay with it. We would select it and take it back to this one. And we don't need to do anything here, just change the ease in to ease out. And that is everything you need to do. Now, the rest of the thing you just need to do is replay or reload this, restart animation. So we can actually just uncheck this actually. So you can select this, it shows up here, and then you can scroll, you can see the rest of the content. You can check this, which activates this. You can check it again, which deactivates it. Now recall that I'm checking here. So now I can check here, I can check there, I can check here, I can check anywhere I want. I can just click on anywhere and the interaction will still happen. Now, if I wanted to add another screen, that is a third screen, I can still do this actually. I just probably, sorry about that. We'll duplicate this screen, all right? And then where I would add the interaction would be on the button I want the user to click, which would be this button. So if I put an interaction to this button, when the user clicks on this button, it would redirect the user to this screen. Sorry, that did not work. Let me be sure I've done, sorry. Let me try it with this one. We'll remove this bottom so that we know that notice the difference. This is on click, navigates to this. We'll try this again with this and then click on this. Okay, so it works, but it's working with this. There's an issue somewhere. I'm not sure why it worked with that one. So I'm going to try it again with this just to be sure that the mistake wasn't from me. Yes, perfect. So it worked. Probably I didn't reload. So you would do it from here, not from here. But the only disadvantage is when you use this button in another project, then that interaction will still be built on this button. All right, that's the only disadvantage. You can also use like the custom, you can use logic to also operate this from using the variables. What we've done is ensuring that you can review a content, you can select the checkbox, you can click anywhere on the checkbox, and you can also proceed to the next screen. And that's it. I'll see you guys some other time.